Hey, that really does work. Quick, quick, sit down. Show's starting. I've even got a ticket. I think there was a party here recently. What do you guys think? Um, how many years, Lily? 7 years of soul food here. So, yay. Anyway, there's a ticket up here. So, exciting. Don't know what it's for, but probably the winning raffle ticket for something. Alrighty, up tonight we have 5 open mic readers. If you still want to read and have not yet signed off on our lovely sheet here, there's still time. Let's 3 or 4 minutes. Does that sound okay to everybody? We can kind of keep it to that. That way we can get to everybody, and if we get through and we have a large amount of time, we may come back for a second round. All right, and tonight's question, because we always have a question, just to, get to know our readers. And tonight's question was a favorite comic strip character. So, and everyone has actually put an answer down. We don't usually get this. Usually we have to start making up things for answers for people, what your favorite bug is, your favorite weather. So, we don't have to make up anything tonight, so thank you very much. Up first, we have JT, whose favorite comic strip character is Batman.
But only the new Batman, because I had to forget that George Clooney tried to play the part. All right. So the poem I'm reading is one that I wrote a couple days ago after me and my friends got in an argument about race. One of my friends attacked another one for being light-skinned. And I kind of realized that, I've been fighting that my whole life too. So I wrote this as kind of how I felt about her situation. I actually discovered a lot about myself writing it. So it's called From Color to Colorblind. So it goes, I saw a mochaccino woman sitting on the back of the bus. If you close your eyes, you could swear that she sounded just like us. Came off like she could never trust anyone, so she did it on her own. Talking with that certain tone, it even broke through when you spoke to her on the phone. Others say her mannerisms were overblown, but she didn't give a damn. Black women always went out and claim that she was plotting on their man, but it's not their fault that they're attracted to you or that you've been best with that back that you do. Some white boys will say that she's too thick, but at the same time, all the brothers around will say she's the #1 pick. From that, you learn to just keep it moving, speaking from your heart because you knew you had nothing to prove when blatant ignorance was constantly spewing. The last part couldn't have been written from an inexperienced point of view. Let's swing the pendulum back and tell the author to show the world you. Let's see. From a young age, you were told you had too much melanin in your skin. It made you less American, while your own kind rejected you, telling you tried too hard to fit in with them. You've experienced the same kind of blind hatred in your day, same sort of opinions expressed to you in a variety of different ways. Shaken by the subject that you know all too well because you know that you could relate. Always seeing the race dichotomy as a theory of fallacies, knowing the ultimate battle would be fearing that one question, so what's your nationality? Always trying to dig into your background. Everybody coming up and saying, you look like blank. Now how does that sound? Grasping to everything that you feel is right. Do you take the question as a compliment or you take it as a reason to fight? None of us are alone, so this goes out to the Venezuelan and the Indian, the Egyptian and the Palestinian, the Greek and the Dominican, the Japanese, the Portuguese, the Puerto Rican, and the Pashoon. And to anybody I didn't name, this goes out to any of you who felt like you were ever taking a broom. Tell them they're all exotic as the places from which they came. Let them know they are beautiful in every shade. And finally, author, you look in the mirror and you tell yourself the exact same thing.
Thank you. Have you read Here For Us before? Okay. Okay, great. But on the poetry night. Okay, good. If it is your first time, please remind us. Next up, Transformers is the favorite comic strip character, Mary A. Edwards.
This is a poem that I wrote a little while ago when I was really little. When I was really little, I was always falling in love with something or other, and life was all brand new then. But when I went to India a little while back, I fell in love in a way that changed my whole life, and that's what this poem is about. the tiger, and the dragonfly. One day, on a spring day in my youth, I was stalking up on creation, on beauty and truth. On a line crossing my fantasy garden like a dream, dragonflies were perched like a small flying team. Soaring up and landing from a turquoise sky, they rose in an aerial ballet on high. I stalked closer and closer to stare into their eyes. I was showing no fear. They were knowing no lies. Closer and closer I crept, playing a little game, until close enough to gaze into their heart I came. I paused to look deep, deep into one's eyes. It turned its tiny head in a way that seemed wise. I thought I saw intelligence in that tiny gaze. Then I saw there my reflection in 1,000 different rays. So I snatched one by its wings, those tiny silken strands. I couldn't resist the chance to hold paradise in my hands. Suddenly then, I let it go and watched it disappear to freedom. And in that moment, heaven seemed so near. But then I looked down. I forgot to look up and saw one's little body like an empty, broken cup. Its brief existence over, I wept to see it so. And I buried it with honor. It seems silly now, I know. But what's best is I remembered to look up. How fast I ran. I saw others by the thousands, and my joy returned again. My love that day for small things, for dragonflies and man, was no small discovery. It was all part of God's plan. Now, on another day, in Indian summer's glow, I felt a power in my life. It was from God, I know. I felt the beauty of creation and renewed strength of mind. My garden from long ago had long been left behind. Then I saw him, and my heart began to race. My spirit recognized him. I felt lost in time and space. I was showing no fear, but great was my surprise when he turned to look at me, and I saw that he was wise. I stalked closer and closer, playing a little game, until close enough to gaze into his heart I came. I felt some higher power must have brought me to this place. I knew he was a tiger, so much beauty, power, and grace. So I thought that I would catch him to tame, and I wanted so to touch him and call him by his name. But then stalking me he came and began to hypnotize me. I was spellbound with the music in his eyes. I saw my own reflection in the light that I saw there. I knew my life was his now. I was caught. I did not care, for I was caught in the fire. I had walked into the flame. My soul had been devoured, and I would never be the same. My old life is gone now. It will never come again. My spirit is set free now. I have flown above the pain. I will not pause to think. I won't take time to cry. Perhaps I will be born again in a small dragonfly.
Thank you very much. Whoops. Beware the gravity. We put some special stuff over there tonight. Up next, we have Redmond's own poet laureate, Janine Hall-Gailey, whose favorite comic strip character is Wonder Woman.
So much. Thanks to Ron and Marjorie today. That reading was amazing. I'm just going to read a really quick poem from Unexplained Fevers. I was thinking about how, Jack and Jill climb up the hill, how it kind of reminded me of a middle-aged married couple. So this is about that. In which Jack and Jill decide whether or not to climb yet another hill. When this new narrative began, it had nothing to do with moving trucks or hospital rooms. It started with clover and costumes, charming children and clamoring crowds, less claustrophobic. It all turned on a dime, the tipping point, and then the long trip down. We swore we would follow each other anywhere, but anywhere turned out to be a lot like Ohio. So we headed for the coast, the climate cool and the clouds less dramatic. Somehow we turned 30 without thunderous applause, our dreams dissipating into piles of paper. We stopped trying to perform pirouettes, preferring to keep our feet on the ground. We've sunk into the hard mud of a river valley, fingernails turning blue for lack of oxygen. Time to conjure some new magic, one more act for the play, where the pop-top lid reveals not snakes but snapdragons, where the earth stops keeping count of the mornings and shakes us loose. Our backpacks loaded with crocus bulbs and rosemary, ready to set root. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Do you have any events coming up?
I do. Next one's June 11th at the Redmond Library. It's going to be just some Jack Straw poetry.
Excellent. Good.
Thank you very much.
Some other events coming up. May 31, RASP will have its next reading over at the Old Redmond Schoolhouse Community Center, so please come for that. And that includes an open mic, and it can include fiction, short stories, that sort of thing, as well as poetry. And our next reading here at Soul Food is June 20, and that will feature Joan Swift and Esther Heathcott, so please come back for that. Our next reader is a fan of Little Orphan Annie. Please welcome Devorah Levy.
Greetings. So, let's see. Hello, hello. First one's called Airways, for my friend Joel Weisberg. April 14th, 1990, 5:30 p.m. See you tomorrow, I sighed as he flashed back his Charlie Brown smile, sitting at his desk, hunched over his oppressive tax returns. He took another toke from his asthma nebulizer, which emanated ominous vapors as it eerily purred with its long tube-like tail. It was the last time I saw Joel. He was a gentle giant, 33-year-old Renaissance man with a high-rise intellect, too sensitive, I thought, to be an attorney. As a Talmudic scholar who spoke several languages and a once avid hiker, Joel now could barely scale the steps from his street to his office on the second floor. Joel's shyness was endearing, but his underlying strength paradoxically belied that aspect of his nature. He was mad about his Mac and had an insatiable crush on Michelle Pfeiffer. Joel hired me on the spot 2 years earlier, when his former paralegal, Kathy, one of my housemates, decided in advance I would be her replacement. She brought me to the office and said, "This is your new secretary." He blushed and with an arched eyebrow stated, $17,000 a year. Okay, when do I start? The New York entourage descended into San Francisco on the day of his funeral. Joel expired at midnight on April 15th. His mother, a city architect in Manhattan, told me that Joel said I was a saint. In truth, it was the other way around. I shed stunned holy water tears during Kaddish. Joel finally drew deep, unlabored, and debt-free breaths. Is there time for one more? God is dreaming, or before the curtain falls, or players in the dream of creation. God is dreaming a great dream. He's deep within the throes of his REM state. This dream is intentional. He knows he's the dreamer, and humanity is his fledgling initiate. We thespians wear myriad masks, both comic and tragic, to play our parts to our swashbuckling hilt. Wobbling morality to suit our wily whims. Costumes and sets change with each age, yet our tears still wet with time accruing guilt. The stage lights and our debut contain no owner's manual. If during the birth of our fame, cosmic rays stream bright to suffice, and we wind up in beloved or believable character roles, God watches, then winces in suspension of disbelief, as abiding angels prompt our lines, but evils always entice. The drawing room under a panoply of evening sentinel stars charts humanity's unwise course. Mother Earth gives her usual unconditional love, then sighs. Father turns in wild fury when his sleep is sorely disturbed. It won't do to challenge the nature of God with human force. Like a persistent invasive growth that requires immediate excision, we actors are failing to convince this audience of one, that our performance will improve with half-hearted, feckless remedies. We're losing his attention with our rapacious acts that scar and fray the awesome fabric of the theater of his mind. While it hurts, there is a healing solution. While crocodile tears fall flat on stage and we're too slow to rebound, God does not like S&M in his planetary dream. So times are rough. The cast begs the important questions as man's melodrama wears thin. The mind of God contains every screenplay that ever will be or was ever written, with leading men and women to vanquish war and with enduring grace to promote love and compassion. So, protagonists recreate themselves, reorganize, and change the plot of the sorry story. They self-select and form multifaceted bands of heroic, unbridled expression. They sing, dance, and paint and write themselves into searching hearts for glory. Across the universe, rippling events occur, a divinely inspired human intervention. White-hot truth uprises to vaporize lies, then witnesses urgent confession. And if we are worthy, and just lucky enough, that God stays asleep a little longer, allowing his drama to unfold and recalibrates time and space, for his players to reciprocate and treat their sets and props with utmost respect, and by making necessary repairs to the ignored fragile balance of stage that inspires a sequel to the dream of life as it enters its God-awakened phase. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again. Oh, Mike, move up. Gravity too strong. All right, we have one more reader tonight, unless there's anyone else. Anyone else? No? Okay. All right, one more reader, and then we'll see if anyone else wants to come up after that. All right, our final reader tonight is Elizabeth Hayden, whose favorite character from a comic strip is Lucy.
Hello? Okay. I was lucky enough to have been invited to a fairy tale event with Janine Halgaly, and it was really fun, and I forgot to thank her when we were there, so thank you. So we were supposed to write a poem based on fairy tales. I started writing a poem, and I realized as I wrote it that I kind of mixed my fairy tales together, so this one ended up being called Mixed Fairy Tales Don't End Well, and it's kind of a letter to my daughter who really likes Disney and is 23. Yeah, still loves Disney. Baby blue dress, blue like Paul Newman's eyes, with your blonde bouffant updo crowning you as you wait for fairies and fate to drape pastel magic around your revealed shoulders. But beware, the prince. His sword can cut you as easily as it slices the briar rose that engulfs you. Better to be Paul Newman, eyes fading to sepia, and blast your way out of this pumpkin to write your own ending.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I should also mention that Soul Food has been here 7 years, and we're very grateful for them. And we started the Soul Food Poetry Night about a month or two after Soul Food opened, so we'll be celebrating our 7th anniversary in July this year. And I can't believe we'll be starting our 8th year of doing this every month. So thank you for contributing to that. Those of you who have been regulars, or even if you're new, that's all welcome. So please come back. And bring friends. Tell your enemies too. And your frenemies. I'll close with a poem, a sequence of mine. It's called Haiku Lessons. Rainy season. An adjective, noun, prepositions the noun. Midday heat, I verb the noun to verb my noun. Empty cafe, another noun verbing the noun. The noun on our nouns gerunding when we verb winter solstice. Yard sale, not enough now to verb my noun. Equinox, the noun of nouns under the noun. Winter night. Fragment with verb, participles a noun. Morning haze, the adverb verbs all of my nouns. Summer rain, I verb my intellectualization over nouns. Army fatigues, she verbs me my noun under the metaphor. Noun after noun after noun. Church bells, verb, article, noun. Cliche, juxtaposition, surreal, noun. Nature image, my thought about it keeps on verbing. Good night.